Hi, welcome to RCKicks. On today's show, well, we're going to do another vintage unboxing. Well, 2009, so yeah, I guess vintage, right? It's this, the Thunder Tiger Phoenix BX2. Now, I know what you're thinking, Gav, why have you got this random thing? Isn't that from China? Well, there's actually more to this than meets the eye, so you better stay tuned to find out. But it's a good one. Some of you will know, most of you won't. Hit it, Charlie. So what's so special about this? Buggy, I hear you cry. Well, I think it's best if we go back to the beginning and then come forward to this car, and then I'll explain a little bit more about this car, and then we'll cover why this is a little bit more special than maybe what you think. So all the way back in 2006, Thunder Tiger brought out the AT-10EB. Now, after about 12 months, they decided to change the name and it became the Phoenix BX, the one before this one. And that was in 2007. Then in 2009, they released this, which is the Phoenix BX2. Now, this is a molded plastic chassis, has a bull diff, has a slipper clutch, and has dog bones on the rear, but it has bushes. Now, all of those cars came out as ready to runs. So you got a motor. This one has a 17-turn brushed motor and an ESC, which is called Ace Veloci RS. Didn't tell me what the amps were though, so I'm not sure. But a 17-turn is reasonably nippy, but you can run brushless in these. People have done it and it seems to hold up well. So why am I so excited to have one of these, as it just looks kind of a generic buggy? Well, if you've been watching the channel for a while, you know that I got a team associated B2 and B3. So if I take my B2, for instance, where is it? Here it is. And I put my B2 next to it, can you see a resemblance? So it's basically a knockoff B2 or B3, I hear you cry, from Team Associated. Well, that's where it gets a little bit more interesting, as Thunder Tiger actually purchased Team Associated back in 2005. So what actually happened was Thunder Tiger took the molds and the actual parts from the B2, B3, more the B3, and actually rebranded it and made this. Well, they made the Phoenix BX first, and then they made this one. So when I take the cover off this, and we'll have them side by side with my B2, you'll actually see this is pretty much a cheap, ready-to-run B2. Now, there's a few things that are different, but there's a lot that is actually the same. So to get one of these, and I'll tell you how much I paid for it. You ready? I paid £60 for it. And £10 delivery, £70, I'll put below what that is, for a ready-to-run buggy. This has never been driven. It comes with everything, but for some weird reason, it was missing the transmitter. But I put another receiver in it, and it fully works already. So, going by the B2 and B3 prices in the UK at the moment, now pushing 160, 180 to £200, depending on quality and whatever, you could have something that's very close for basically nothing. £60 for a ready-to-run car in this condition is bonkers. But being that Thunder Tiger actually owns Team Associated, this car has parts that come from the actual molds. So it doesn't get any better than this, really. Let's open it up, take a look at it, and let's run some comparisons. So obviously the Phoenix BX2 is on a much different price point, and we can see that when we start to look at more details. But the front bulkhead is exactly the same, front and rear. You notice that there is aluminium across the pins. On the other one, it's obviously plastic, but the bumpers are the same as well. Now the upright is different. You can see this is a plastic upright, whereas this one is carbon. So they have changed that. These shocks are not the metal version, they are plastic, so all done to save money. Bushes, like I said before, you can just about see in there, but you can see the similarities. The main difference is that the actual material, this is all made with plastic, where this is a composite, so you can actually see it is a different material. So I just got my B3 out and I had a look to compare it to that, as comparing it to the B2. Well, the B2 came earlier, and I wanted to see if the differences that the ready to run car had was from the B3, and sure enough, yes, it is way more closer to the B3. The arms are identical. Obviously the material is still, that's plastic, that's composite, but the actual arm is the same. Same when you look at the upright, it now joins at the top. That's exactly what we see on the Phoenix car. So yes, it's much more B3, but then that's understandable, as if you look at the ages of them. The actual chassis itself is identical, apart from it's in plastic, but it's from the exact same mold. It has the same mold lines. The rear upright is identical on this one. There's two versions of this upright apparently, for depending on what part of the world you're in, but these are identical apart from the materials. Rear shocks again are in plastic, obviously to bring the prices down. Turning our attentions to the back of the car, very similar indeed. We have the same transmission. I don't know if you can see that. No, it's identical, same upright part, just the material. Now this section here is obviously metal on the RC10, but on the Phoenix it's actually a plastic part, and it's different as in it's one piece all the way back to here, and then there's a bolt-on section here, whereas the B2 is different. It comes all the way around to here. I've got one here so you can see it. So it's metal, so they deleted that to save cost and made it plastic, but it goes all the way around. So slightly different, but the attachment points are the same. You can see it's here, so they've just changed it. So very similar and very interesting to see it. Look, exactly the same steering, obviously changed to plastic, but the same bulkhead. So there's lots of cost savings in there, but being the price wise and also how rare they are, finding a B2 is a lot harder. So I'm really chuffed to have one of these. I will get it running. Well, it is pretty much running now. I put a different receiver in it and it does fire up and it does run. So I will actually drive this one. I have got a few upgrades, so I might see if I can actually put these universals in. These are obviously from a B2 or B3, and I have got a few uprights, so I'm pretty sure that I can fit this on here as well. I have got some other aftermarket shocks that I can fit on it, so I can actually turn this one into a runner. These wheels, believe it or not, are closer to the correct ones that I need for my B3. The B3 ones are actually wrong. They taper in at the front. These are more correct, but they're just not exactly the right height, but they are flat. So I'm going to take the rims off of this and put it on my B3, but I've got to take the tires off because they're glued on. So I'm going to have to do the acetone bath trick to get them off, then I'll swap them over, and then this one is going to become my runner. Did you know that Thunder Tiger owned Team Associated? Comment below, let me know. There isn't that much on the internet about it. It's actually quite quiet. There's a few little tiny comments in some threads and stuff, but there's no like massive announcements anywhere. They all seem to have disappeared. Granted, it was all the way back in 2005, so it's a bit of a shock to me, and I'm really chuffed because it kind of puts that there is some actual history to this, and the parts aren't just knockoffs. They're actually generally molded parts from the Team Associated B2 and B3. This one definitely is more B3 after I've gone through and I've looked at my two cars. So yeah, it kind of makes sense being that this came along later. I'm guessing that the version 1, the Phoenix BX, probably was more B2. I don't know. And then when the B3 came out, that's when this got the update as well. Comment below if you know any more about it. That's all I've got. I've got a leaky shock that I need to fix at the back. I'm going to put some brushes in this. I want to set a time around the Buggy track. I want to know if it can knock the Cougar off the top spot. Now, being that this is based on a very good pedigree B3, and being that there's not that much different, it should set a decent time. Anyway, thanks very much. Please like and subscribe. See you on the next one. Bye-bye.